Hello guys, welcome back to our channel. Today, are we finally leaving this bearish market? Let's cover it with me right now today. And if you haven't already, subscribe, drop a comment, hit the bell and get some new notifications on the latest news in cryptocurrency. So Bitcoin has been doing pretty bad and it's still continuing to fall. So today it's sitting at 48,570 bucks. Pretty bad, but if we're speaking about the percentage, right, so it is up by 0.40%. Now, the thing with Bitcoin is it did go and finally break 50K, and it started to look pretty good, but it wasn't enough. So it actually retested the resistance, came back down, and we're still kind of in that downward triangle. And if you guys know triangles, you're going to understand that, honestly, the most of them are going to just show us a continuation pattern. Right? Unfortunately, it is in the downward way. But it is looking pretty cool. It is looking a little bit better for you guys, especially Bitcoin guys. So when we're looking... when we're looking at the MACD, for example, and I'm a big fan of using this, it's showing that it is starting to kind of recheck that resistance line, and that's good because we could potentially finally have a breakthrough and actually start making it for another bull run. And it's the same time every year, right? So about January or so, it actually starts kind of coming up again. And I mean, you can see this from let's see, July, May, right? So when we come back, let's go on back. That's February, right? January. You can see like we're usually down about this time. December is kind of down and it shoots up. So that's kind of a pattern that is given by Bitcoin in general. And so it's not like a huge downward slope as usual, but it is going down and it's starting to show. So it looks like the moving average is starting to kind of converge and come up from underneath. And as long as we can keep buying into this, it really will signify a new price action. And I believe, given the patterns that's kind of going on, is that it's exactly going to go up. And if you don't believe me, I mean, there's just nothing but proof when we're looking here. So we're kind of hanging right now. We're at a point where it's kind of consolidating. And usually when the volume in itself starts to consolidate, it's kind of showing that it's going to really jump up, right? So and even the sellers are losing momentum. So they're losing power. So it does look like it's getting ready to shift power back to the buyers. And that's where we're kind of sitting around with all of these things kind of sitting at point, right? But Bitcoin is looking a little sad at 48K. We're not going to lie. But we knew it would take a while for it to actually jump back up. And we called it too several videos ago. But it would come down and it's going to take a few months to kind of rebounce back up. But this is probably the turning point where we can actually finally leave that bear market for Bitcoin. But being the granddaddy of it, we are kind of sitting at a point where it is dragging the other altcoins down with it as well. And we'll take a look at those. Right now, let's give it a shot. So looking at Dogecoin is actually doing pretty good. So today it is sitting minus 4.98, but the weekly is doing pretty good. Let's give it a shot at the week. Doge for the weekly is at almost 7%, so 79% for the weekly. So it is actually starting to come up as well, especially with Tesla news and of course everybody. I mean, Elon is kind of really pushing that market. Now we did have this moment, and this is what does worry me if we're really kind of considering the MACD formula here. Now we are sitting at a point where it's kind of hard to tell. So about a day or so, once that MACD line that crosses, that moving average crosses over, that's kind of where we're sitting at too. So it does kind of show that it's going to jump if we give it a day after it crosses, that it's going to jump. Now we have a little bit of retracement kind of coming back, but a pretty healthy one all in all together. And it does show that there is a big upstreak into the volume of buyers. So that's a big deal, and that's a big deal. So it can actually get momentum. You definitely want high volume. You always want high volume, and that's always where you want to trade it, is in high volume. So it's really good. But when it starts to get low volume here, it shows that it's weak. So it's actually showing with this volume of the sellers, of course, it got lower and lower. So it did show that it's actually a weak downtrend that's been happening since like November, right? So we do have the potential, and it's not too bad. And you can see it's just, honestly, it's more healthy when we're talking about those big differences in the trend, right? The retracements. And kind of coming back down. So you can see that this is just kind of really moving in its own kind of way. So it got really unhealthy here, which honestly, this huge spike in sales in October, right? That was a big thing when it actually broke higher. for it at what, 0.29. That was actually a really unhealthy candle, and more so, it did show a slope, right, or a wedge, like so, a downward facing slope or a wedge, which really kind of shows that the market is going to go down, that it is going to make a reversal from this uptrend. So that was a big thing that we had there as well that gave us that warning. But Dogecoin is looking like it's actually going to jump up and have a breakout as well from this. So pretty good on Doge. When we're speaking about Ethereum, right? So we're kind of moving in that continuing way too. Now we're kind of bouncing off of this, off the support here. We kind of like retested to the resistance back here at the end of November. Come back down, tested it again, and December just couldn't do it. Just could not actually get enough power mustered up from the buyers. But when we're looking at the MACD as well, and guys, you really should follow the MACD, honestly, as it does give so much information. We got really close here, and you can see that got really close, right? So it didn't quite break it, but it did come close. Now we are checking here, and we're kind of coming back. So it did look like it was going to go down, which made a very scary moment for Ethereum. Now today, Ethereum's sitting at 3,890, right, plus 79% for the day, but it is looking much, much better. Now we still have like a pretty good medium-sized volume kind of going on here, but what we do want to see is we want to see this continuing up, because if it can continue up as well, but 16th, 17th of December, it could actually break out and run for it. So we do want to see that. I think the next time we get to check or test the resistance here, we're gonna go up. But it is showing a continuing pattern, so it could be down longer down to the vortex of this triangle. And so we do want to see what's going on. So it is a continuing type deal, or you can really form it as a wedge if you would, but not so much. It's just a few things that just aren't there. It's in between a wedge and a triangle, but I'm thinking it's not going to continue for much longer. Triangles are a continuation, and I think it's going to jump back up as well, and you're going to see that as well when we really start diving in a little bit deeper in the next couple of days, especially when Bitcoin can kind of break out of it as well. So there's a lot of factors that's going to really push Ethereum to go further into the abyss. All right. So here's the thing with Luna. Luna's sitting at this really weird pattern, right? It's this Twin Peaks pattern type deal. So and that's pretty scary. And the volume is really erratic. Now that makes me a little nervous. So Terra Luna though is sitting at almost minus 2% for the day. Nothing too great, and we did see that it crossed again like December the 10th, right? And it's kind of continuing out. So I think it's still going to go down a little bit further. So sitting at 58. I think if we can cross back in, giving the same couple of days before the end of December, if we can kind of do that. Usually this downpour is not very long. Let's see what, from 14th of November, right? 13, about 2 weeks time is usually about what that looks. I mean, you can kind of see this a pattern of 2 weeks of down when we're looking at the MAC. But all in all, it has a very strong volume of buyers, and that's a good thing. But I think here before too long, it will. I think it is going to shoot up. It needs to drop a little bit. But we do have this thing where it's kind of sitting up for a wedge too. Not enough data yet to suggest, because we are on the daily here. But it does show that it is time, long overdue for a wedge formation to kind of pop up. It does show that as well. And the fact that the volume is kind of coming down, which really shows that it can make a reversal, which honestly in this direction is not good. But these peaks here, it kind of gave us that big warning too, that we're looking into, right? So it just couldn't really break out much past than that. But all in all, it isn't so bad. So I mean, it is an all-time high of $74. So it's going to go down. Definitely recheck itself, and so we'll see where we're at. Let's look at the market. The market as of today, we're sitting at about, for Bitcoin, 48,594. 24-hour period is up 2.68%. For the weekly, it's at 3.71 minus. Ethereum's up by 2% for the day, minus double digits by 1088 for the weekly. Solana is doing pretty good. Actually, a big uptick in Solana. For the daily, we're about 7.20% positive. Still double digits in the negative for the week at 11.24. Cardano is still struggling, so at about 2.37% for the daily and minus 7.85, standing about $1.27 for all you Cardano guys. Polkadot is up by 0.5% as well at $26.50 for the daily. almost double digits at almost 9.5% in the red. Doge is doing great with double digits in the plus by 13.44% and 1.58 for the weekly. Now Terra Luna at 3.23% of the daily, pretty good, double digits in the red. AVAX, we told you about this as well. Watch out for AVAX. AVAX is going to come up too. Now, it did have that little slowing point, but it is double digits up as well by 15.11% as well. Now we have Shiba and Polygon is also doing really good. Matic is up 8.86, but still almost 14.5 down for the weekly, but it is starting to make a recovery. Litecoin as well is up 2.71%, which is pretty good. So a lot of them are starting to really make some big pluses here. And you can see it's starting to kind of fix itself up. So we want to see these more and more and more, but this is where we want to be. All right, so definitely take a look at them. You can see this for yourself that everything is starting to kind of come out of the bear market a little bit, but we're just not out of the woods yet. All right, guys, I want to remind you, drop a comment, hit the bell, subscribe, and I will see you next time.